Don't act like a big shot, bottom-tier company. This contract's over. I went into a mild panic when Mike Jones, the president of Jones Interiors, a company we'd worked with since our founding, suddenly told me our contract was terminated, even though I owed him for the help he'd given me over the years. There was no way I could agree to cut the price of tomorrow's delivery in half, especially on the morning before delivery. I had finally had enough of Jones's unreasonable demands. And even though I knew it might mean the end of my company, I decided to terminate the contract myself. Even afterward, Jones kept saying things like, "I'll keep doing business with you if you lower your prices." But his arrogant tone infuriated me, and I hung up on him in a fit of rage. Recently, I've been hearing some bad rumors about Jones's company. I want to believe in the passionate man I first met, who claimed to care about his customers, but maybe that was just for show. When I finally realized Jones's true nature, I was shocked, but I couldn't afford to back down if I wanted to protect my company. After all, no one knows when or where something might happen, so I told myself I wouldn't regret standing my ground here. Still, I couldn't help but wonder if I'd made the wrong call until I truly understood who Jones was. Hello everyone. Welcome to Revenge Office. Today I'm going to share a new story with you. Let's get started. My name is Tom Davis. I'm 52 years old. I used to work at a company that processed materials for furniture. But at 50, I founded Davis Furniture, where we make and sell original designs. It's always been my dream to build furniture I designed myself, though the early days were tough. I'm now lucky to have skilled craftsmen and excellent employees, and our business has been growing steadily over the past 2 years. However, because we refuse to cut corners, we can't mass produce our products. Still, the products we continue to create with attention to detail and conviction have earned recognition even within the industry. We've been getting more and more requests from companies wanting to do business with us, to the point where we're overwhelmed with joy. Even though more sales are always welcome, our commitment to quality means we have to carefully choose our business partners. To keep creating products that make people happy, my team and I will keep pushing forward together. Among all the companies we work with, Jones Interiors has been with us since the very beginning. I was drawn to Mike Jones's passion when he talked about wanting to build homes that would bring joy to many people. And that's how we started working together. Jones is a skilled businessman with a wide network. Thanks to him, even a small, newly established company like mine was able to make a name for itself in the industry. It's no exaggeration to say that our success over the past 2 years is largely thanks to Jones. As Davis Furniture entered its 3rd year, Jones Interiors became known as the top company in the industry. But it was around then that Jones began changing his business strategy, using his new status to aggressively raise prices. I wanted to believe Jones had a plan, but there were now rumors circulating that he had let his success go to his head. My employees were becoming unsettled, but I couldn't betray the debt of gratitude I owed Jones, leaving me feeling trapped. Then, one day, Jones hit me with a shocking request. "Sales are up, so you don't mind lowering the wholesale price starting next month, right? Haha." What? Wait, what are you suddenly talking about? Don't worry, I'll make sure to sell even more to cover it, okay? Without getting a proper explanation or even a chance to ask for one, the call was abruptly cut off. The next day, a friend told me that the products I supplied to Jones's company were being sold at higher prices, leaving me in shock. Just yesterday, he said he wanted to lower the wholesale price, but it turned out he had raised the retail prices instead. At this point, I couldn't help but feel distrust toward Jones's profit-first approach. If this continues, we could quickly lose customers, and in the worst-case scenario, my company could even go bankrupt. With a growing sense of urgency, I suggested to Jones that he reconsider his strategy. "What? You just don't get it, do you? The world runs on getting profits from customers who can afford it. A small, bottom-tier company like yours could never understand that. All I ever wanted was to uplift the industry together and bring joy to as many customers as possible. But where had that spirit of teamwork gone? However, if I lose nearly half of my sales from Jones's company, my own business might collapse first." The pressure weighed heavily on me, and I couldn't stop myself from overthinking, my head spinning as I clutched it in frustration. Just as I was questioning whether I should continue working with Jones, I received a call from the office right next door to Jones Interiors. "My name is Steve Brown, and I handle interiors at Craft Design, a building design firm. We would love to partner with Davis Furniture. Would you be open to discussing a contract with us?" Craft Design was a new but highly regarded firm in the industry, already handling numerous projects. Recently, Craft Design has been called a strong competitor to Jones Interiors. Apparently, Steve works there as a buyer for interior products. Considering my situation with Jones, I thought it might be time to explore new business opportunities, so I agreed to schedule a meeting right then and there. A few days later, when I met Steve in person, he gave off a humble yet approachable vibe from the start. However, I couldn't shake the feeling that, since Craft Design mainly deals with mid to low price products, my high-end furniture might be out of their price range. Sensing my hesitation, Steve passionately explained that they were planning to expand into higher-priced products, which is why they wanted to work with Davis Furniture. I began to think that maybe I should reduce my dealings with Jones Interiors and focus more on working with Craft Design. Just as I was wavering on my decision, Jones suddenly showed up at my office without an appointment. "Hey, I heard there's a pesky little gnat buzzing around in here." Jones barged into the conference room, his voice raised in irritation, glaring at Steve with an expression as fierce as a demon's. "A cheap, garbage company like his can't handle your products. It's 100 years too early for him to even think about signing a contract here." Without missing a beat, Jones threw out a figure almost twice what we usually deal with and claimed that's what Steve would need to match if he wanted a contract. Completely deflated, Steve forced a nervous smile, wiped the sweat from his forehead, greeted, and quickly left, almost as if he were fleeing. After Steve left, there was a moment of silence before I nervously spoke to Jones. "Jones, about that wholesale price you mentioned earlier. That was obviously a joke. The fact that you believe that lie just shows how deeply your bottom-tier mentality has set in, doesn't it?" Jones cut me off, snorting as he let out a victorious laugh. "Don't make fun of me. You sure you want to say that? Without my company, this little bottom-tier business of yours would go bankrupt in no time, wouldn't it?" I fell silent, unable to say a word in response, and Jones patted my shoulder lightly, smirking as he said he'd continue the contract. All I could do was grit my teeth, beg, and say thank you. But inside, the frustration was driving me crazy. A few weeks passed, and one morning, as I was sorting through some paperwork, the phone rang. It was Jones. "About tomorrow's delivery. Cut the wholesale price in half. Got it?" I couldn't understand what Jones was saying, and I panicked, asking him again. "I haven't heard anything about changing the price." "Of course not. I just told you. Consider it a favor to me. You'll do it, right?" There was no way I could agree to such an absurd request, especially with the delivery already scheduled. "Please, don't ask for something unreasonable. My employees have families to support." No matter what I said, Jones just kept insisting that I lower the price. At this point, I was completely exasperated, and even I had finally reached my limit of patience. If you insist, let's just forget about this whole thing. Don't act like a big shot, bottom tier company. This contract's over. Don't regret turning down my offer, okay? Even after that, Jones kept saying things like, "I'll keep doing business with you if you lower your prices," with a condescending attitude. Fed up with his unreasonable price negotiations, I hung up the phone in a burst of frustration. I resigned myself to the fact that it was over, but as I faced this abrupt end, tears began to roll down my face. The thought of bankruptcy wouldn't leave my mind, and I couldn't sleep a wink that night. By the next evening, I was utterly exhausted from getting through a busy day. Just as I was about to head home, the phone rang. "Hello, who's this?" "What kind of joke is that? It's me. It's me." It was Jones on the other end, but his usual overbearing and confident tone was gone, and his voice was shaking. "What's going on? Our contract's already over, isn't it? Yesterday, that was just a joke. Anyway, you must be having trouble with your inventory, right? So, as a favor, I'll let you deliver it at a 90% discount, okay?" Completely stunned, I calmly refused Jones's offer. "The one talking nonsense is you. I've already delivered the goods to the company next door." "That can't be. I'm offering to help you clear your inventory, so just hurry up and deliver it now." Jones's obvious panic was strange, and he couldn't hide it. Out of curiosity, I asked him why he was so flustered. "Did something happen?" "Something? Don't mess with me. Since your products didn't arrive, we've been bombarded with complaints all morning. That's why I need them right now." "I see, but as I mentioned earlier, Craft Design placed a large order, and I've already delivered all of our stock to them. So, we really don't have any inventory left." "What? Wait, what did you just say?" "Yesterday, Jones told me not to act like a big shot, but it turns out he was the one putting on airs." His voice shook in disbelief as he stammered. Jones Interiors, which had focused on high-end products, had likely underestimated Craft Design, which had been expanding in the low-cost market. It's true that recently, Jones Interiors had only been selling expensive items, and customers were drifting away. Considering that their deliveries had decreased and there were already rumors of declining business, their reign as number one in the industry might have been short-lived. "Look, I really need to fulfill these orders, or we're in serious trouble. Just give me anything you've got left to deliver." "You told me the contract was over, Jones, and that put me in a tough spot." But Craft Design stepped in. And not only did we sign a contract today, but they also agreed to take all of our remaining stock immediately. What? There's no way that's true. The reason I had been so busy today was that I'd spent all day delivering every bit of our stock to Craft Design. Early this morning, I swallowed my pride and reached out to Craft Design, asking if they'd be willing to sign a contract with me. To my surprise, they immediately agreed and said they wanted all my products right away, setting everything up on the spot. The warehouse hasn't been this empty since I first started the company. "All right then, call Craft Design and have them send all the products they receive today back to me. I'll buy them all at the usual price. That should make you happy, right?" Out of nowhere, Jones started making completely unreasonable demands. Naturally, I refused, wondering what he was thinking. But Jones, clearly not making any sense, kept coming up with absurd ideas, speaking without thinking. "If there's nothing left, then just make the same stuff right now. That's it. Get it done immediately." "What are you talking about? All the employees are gone, and I'm about to leave too." "Don't mess with me. I'm the one swallowing my pride here. I don't care what it takes. Make all the products that were scheduled for delivery today and finish them by tonight." All I could do was sigh at Jones's selfish demands. Even if I were to make the same products again, it'd take at least 6 months. What are you going to do? "What? Don't be ridiculous. 6 months. That's impossible. What am I supposed to do now? Even over the phone, I could hear Jones panicking and losing control, his voice trembling in frustration. But given the attention to detail and refusal to cut corners in our work, 6 months is actually fast. After I explained that there was nothing I could do, Jones seemed to finally understand and hung up the phone without saying a word. A week later, I received a rare, panicked call from Steve, who sounded unusually flustered. "Mr. Davis, I'm really sorry, but could you please come here immediately?" "What? Oh, yes, I understand." "I truly apologize. Please hurry." The call ended abruptly, and I had no idea what was going on. Despite the bad feeling I had, I rushed to craft design. When I arrived and went to meet Steve, I was stunned to see Jones deeply apologizing to Steve on his hands and knees. The sight was so unexpected that I couldn't find the words. "Please, I'm begging you, give me all of Davis Furniture's products right now." Jones, still speaking nonsense, had Steve completely at a loss for how to respond. When Steve gave me a desperate look, Jones suddenly started crawling across the floor like some kind of ghost from a horror movie. Horrified, I took a step back. But Jones reached my feet and began pressing his head to the floor, pleading with me to deliver the products. The sight of Jones's unsettling behavior gave me chills, and goosebumps covered my skin. "No matter how many times you ask, I have no products to deliver to your company, Mr. Jones. And why are you going this far?" "It doesn't matter what it is." "In that case, I'll buy everything you've delivered to this company. I'll pay whatever price you name, so that should settle it," Jones shouted, half crying and clearly frustrated. But it was obvious that this wasn't a simple matter, especially when considering the profit margins on the products. Fed up with Jones's persistence, Steve finally gave in and accepted his offer. "Fine. If you're going that far, I'll sell it to you at retail price. Is that acceptable?" "Now you're talking great. Let's get it delivered right away." Jones jumped to his feet, smiling, and immediately started calling his office. "I've secured the products. Let all the customers know they're available for sale right now." As we watched Jones walk away, full of confidence, Steve and I exchanged glances. But just to be safe, Steve quickly sent over an invoice via fax. Moments later, Jones stormed back in, his face twisted in anger. "What is this invoice? Are you mocking me? There's no way I can pay this kind of price." Staring at Jones's outrageous behavior, Steve and I exchanged another look. "Mr. Jones, didn't you just say you take all the products regardless of price?" "Yeah, I said that. But use some common sense. How could I possibly afford this price?" "Who's the one lacking common sense here?" Exasperated by Jones's words, I let out a sigh and asked him why he was going to such extremes. Jones said that since high-end products weren't selling, he decided to shift focus to the low-end market. So, he planned to lower the wholesale price of my company's products and sell them at a cheaper rate. However, the products he intended to buy from Craft Design were all high-priced items, and they were set at the market's standard price. This meant that instead of making a profit, the more he sold, the more losses he would incur. Realizing the mess he'd created, Jones's face went pale, and he collapsed to his knees, frozen in despair. At that moment, Jones's phone rang. The second he looked at the screen, his face tightened with fear. When he answered the call, a loud voice could be heard from so far away that even Steve and I could hear it. "About that, we couldn't secure the products, so please apologize to the customers." It seemed to be a call from his company. From what I could gather, the employees were struggling to handle the customers who had come to pick up their orders, which prompted the call. But all the products were still in Craft Design's warehouse, even though they had just informed customers that the products were ready. Going back and saying, "Sorry, we don't have them after all," was unthinkable. The employees were swamped with inquiries and didn't know how to handle the situation. Yet, to our amazement, Jones still responded with an arrogant attitude, snapping back at his staff. "Enough already, there's nothing left. Your job is to apologize, so just do your job properly." The customer-first attitude Jones once talked about had vanished completely. After hanging up, Jones left without saying a word, his face expressionless. Later, I heard that the constant back and forth from Jones' interiors caused so much frustration among customers that all their reservations were cancelled. The company ended up refunding the payments to the clients who had already paid. A month passed in the blink of an eye, and I was overwhelmed with additional orders from craft design and new inquiries from companies wanting to sign contracts. Then, one day, I absent-mindedly picked up the phone and was shocked to hear Jones's voice. "Small businesses like yours must be free, right? So how about signing a contract again and delivering products to me?" Once again, Jones spoke in the same condescending tone, and I was deeply disappointed. Even when I politely declined, Jones kept insisting that we sign another contract. Busy as I was, I couldn't waste time on Jones's selfishness, so I coldly pushed back. "No matter how many times you ask, I'm sorry, but we're fully booked with orders, so I can't take yours now. Come on, it's just you and me, right?" Despite everything I said, Jones kept begging. Fed up with his selfishness, I finally decided to make a suggestion, hoping it would get him to give up. Even if we signed a new contract, delivery wouldn't be for at least another year. "A year, okay, that's fine. Just sign the contract." Jones's strange persistence made me suspicious, but I ended the call. The next day, I was shocked by what I saw on the news. Jones had been arrested on charges of fraud. I never thought he'd stoop so low. But it turned out he had been taking payments from customers without ever delivering the products. Even the previous cancellations he had faced resulted in no refunds for any of the clients. Without products to sell, there was no revenue, and without revenue, there was no cash for refunds. After being denied loans from the bank, Jones had resorted to scamming new customers one after another. It was also reported that he had been unable to pay his employees' salaries, revealing just how desperate he was for money. This incident even uncovered hidden accounting fraud at his company. It seems that when Jones Interiors claimed to be the #1 in the industry, they had inflated their sales numbers to create a fake reputation and then boasted to competitors. Since the news broke, Jones had completely stopped contacting me. What I learned from the report was that before doing business with my company, Jones had been buying up products from rival firms by hiring their employees, reselling them through his own company. He thought that if there were no products left for others to sell, he could monopolize the market. However, suspicious of Jones's abnormal bulk purchases, rival companies began implementing measures to avoid selling to certain customers. At that time, the furniture my company produced was well received and sold at high prices, which encouraged him to expand his sales channels. Though I wasn't aware of it, he was quite the operator in a bad way, but there's no denying that he helped raise the profile of my products. Jones may be a disappointment in many ways, but I suppose I should thank him for that much. After the media coverage of Jones had quieted down, I learned something new. After the fallout with Steve, Jones's bad reputation had spread so widely in the industry that no company would contract with him. Desperate, he decided to sign a contract with a cheap overseas firm. Thinking that if no domestic company would work with him, he'd take his business elsewhere. Just when he thought he'd finally secured some products, complaints flooded in about the deliveries, which were nothing like the catalog descriptions, and he had to handle refunds yet again. Unbeknownst to him, The overseas company he had partnered with was notorious for shady business practices, so much so that they were infamous in the industry, with everyone warned to stay far away. Jones had been completely duped and suffered significant losses as a result. Burdened by massive debt, Jones eventually disappeared. Meanwhile, Craft Design, with its commitment to quality, was recognized as the top company in the industry, and my own company grew alongside it. Now, not only do I have more employees, but we've also increased the number of craftsmen, allowing us to take on even more orders than before. Best of all, my furniture has become a successful brand, leading to collaborations with various companies, and I've received an unbelievable number of requests. With the increase in staff, I've gained more flexibility and balance in my life. To think about how to survive in the future, I started creating opportunities to learn various things. Listening to different life experiences through lectures has been incredibly insightful and enjoyable. One day, I stumbled upon a lecture with a rather unusual theme. It was titled, "The Big Failures of an Unfortunate CEO," which piqued my curiosity. I was excited to hear what kind of life stories I would learn, but when the lecture began, I was left speechless in shock. It was none other than Jones who had taken the stage. I never expected to see him here. Unlike before, Jones wasn't looking down on anyone but was humbly and humorously sharing his stories of failure. His presentation was so engaging that I couldn't help but get drawn in, and I began to wonder if I had misjudged him in the past. Listening to the tales of failure from someone who had once been such a savvy businessman sparked new ideas in my mind. Before I knew it, the lecture had ended, and Jones received a round of applause, looking a bit shy with a smile on his face. I joined in the applause, silently wishing him well in his new chapter of life. It seemed he was using the income from his speaking engagements to pay off his debts. Nobody knows what defines failure or success. Perhaps it's true that some successes are born from failure. Like Jones, I decided to take a hard look at myself and remain humble as I continue to create products that bring smiles to many people.